The locker door slammed shut with a metallic clang, trapping Aloan inside the narrow darkness, her heart pounding as laughter echoed from the hallway. "Freak. You think anyone would ever love a dyke like you?" Jamie's venomous voice pierced through the vents, her fists banging on the door for emphasis. In that moment, as tears streamed down her face, 16-year-old Aloan vowed she'd escape this hellish small-town high school and never look back. Aloan had always known she was different, but in the conservative heart of Willow Creek, Ohio, different meant dangerous. It was 2005, and the whisper started the day she came out to her best friend, who promptly betrayed her confidence to the entire junior class. Jamie Hargrove, the queen bee with perfect blonde curls and a cheerleader uniform that screamed untouchable, latched onto the rumor like a shark to blood. "Lesbo alert!" she'd shout across the cafeteria, her posse giggling as they tossed crumpled notes at Aloan's table. The bullying wasn't just words, it was isolation, pranks that left Aloan humiliated. Like the time her gym clothes were stolen and replaced with a rainbow flag draped mockingly over her locker. Aloan's home life offered little refuge. Her parents, devout churchgoers who ran the local hardware store, reacted with a mix of denial and disappointment. "It's just a phase, honey," her mom would say, forcing smiles at Sunday dinners while her dad buried himself in work. Aloan found solace in books and secret online forums, dreaming of a life beyond Willow Creek's picket fences and judgmental stares. She poured her pain into a journal, scribbling poems about unrequited crushes on girls who barely noticed her. But Jamie's torment escalated senior year. One rainy afternoon after school, Jamie cornered her in the parking lot. "You disgust me," Jamie hissed, shoving Aloan against her beat-up Honda. "Stay away from my friends, or I'll make sure everyone knows what a pervert you are." The shove sent Aloan sprawling into a puddle, her books scattering like her shattered dignity. Graduation couldn't come soon enough. With a scholarship to NYU, Aloan fled to New York City, the skyline a beacon of freedom. She immersed herself in the vibrant LGBT scene of Greenwich Village, attending pride events and dating women who celebrated her identity. College blurred into a career in graphic design, where her creativity flourished. By her late 20s, Aloan had built a life. A cozy apartment in Brooklyn, a circle of supportive friends, and a string of relationships that taught her about love's fragility. Yet, the scars from Willow Creek lingered. Nightmares of Jamie's sneers woke her, and she avoided social media, fearing old ghosts. Fate, however, had a twisted sense of humor. It was at a bustling art gallery opening in Manhattan where Aloan first met Chris Hargrove. He was tall, with kind blue eyes and a disarming smile, chatting animatedly about an abstract painting that reminded him of Ohio farmlands. "I'm Chris," he said, extending a hand. "Just moved here from the Midwest, trying to escape the small-town blues." Aloan laughed, introducing herself, unaware of the surname's echo. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, from art to favorite coffees to dreams of traveling. Chris was a software engineer, recently divorced, seeking a fresh start. He didn't pry into her past and she didn't volunteer. By the end of the night they exchanged numbers and Aloan felt a spark she hadn't anticipated. A warmth that felt both familiar and foreign. Their first date was a picnic in Central Park, under a canopy of autumn leaves. Chris packed homemade sandwiches, confessing his love for cooking inherited from his mom. Aloan opened up about her design work, sharing sketches on her phone. "You're incredible," he said, his gaze sincere. For the first time in years, Aloan felt seen, not judged. As weeks turned to months, their bond deepened. Chris shared stories of his childhood, mentioning a sister who was a handful, but whom he adored. Aloan nodded, pushing aside vague unease. They explored the city together. Walks along the High Line, cozy movie nights in her apartment, stolen kisses in rainy streets. Chris was patient, respectful, never pressuring her. "I've never felt this way," he whispered one evening as they watched the sunset from her rooftop. Aloan's heart swelled, but a quiet doubt nagged. Could she, who had always loved women, fall for a man? It challenged everything she thought she knew about herself. The revelation came crashing down at a holiday party Chris hosted. Amid twinkling lights and laughter, a familiar face appeared at the door. Jamie, arms laden with gifts, her blonde hair now streaked with highlights. "Sis!" Chris exclaimed, hugging her. Elowen froze, the room spinning. Jamie's eyes locked on hers, widening in recognition. Elowen? What the hell are you doing here? The words hung heavy, slicing through the festive air. Chris looked between them, confused. You two know each other? Jamie's laugh was brittle. Know her? I made her life miserable in high school. The party blurred as old wounds reopened, and Elowen fled into the night, tears mixing with snowflakes. The subway ride back to Brooklyn felt eternal. Elowen's mind a whirlwind of betrayal and confusion. How could she have fallen for the brother of her tormentor? Chris called repeatedly, his voicemails pleading for explanation. Elowen, please talk to me. Whatever happened, we can work through it. But she ignored them, curling up in her bed with memories assaulting her. Jamie's face, twisted in teenage cruelty, overlapped with Chris's gentle one. Was this some cosmic joke? She confided in her best friend Lena, over coffee the next day. It's like the universe is testing me, Elowen said, voice trembling. Lena, a fellow designer and staunch ally, hugged her. Maybe it's a chance for closure. Or maybe you walk away. But don't let the past steal your present. Chris showed up at her door that evening, flowers in hand, his expression earnest. I had no idea, he said as she let him in reluctantly. Jamie told me everything, how she bullied you, the awful things she said. I'm so sorry. Elowen paced the living room, arms crossed. Sorry doesn't erase it. She made me hate myself. Chris nodded, sitting on the couch. She's changed, Elowen. After high school she went through her own hell, divorce therapy. She regrets it all. Skeptical, Elowen demanded details. Chris explained. Jamie had married young to a controlling man, and the marriage crumbled, forcing her to confront her prejudices. She came out as bi last year, he added softly. The irony hit Elowen like a punch. Jamie, the homophobe, had been projecting her own fears? Reluctantly, Elowen agreed to meet Jamie for coffee, with Chris as mediator. The cafe in Soho buzzed with indifferent patrons, a neutral ground. Jamie arrived early, looking vulnerable in jeans and a sweater. Elowen, I don't expect forgiveness, she began, eyes downcast. What I did was unforgivable. I was scared, angry at myself, and I took it out on you. Elowen listened, her anger simmering. You destroyed my confidence. I left town because of you. Jamie nodded, tears welling. I know. I've spent years in therapy unpacking that. Coming out helped me see the damage I caused. The conversation stretched, raw and honest. Jamie shared her journey. Suppressed attractions in high school, lashing out at what she envied in Elowen's bravery. By the end, Elowen felt a crack in her armor. Not forgiveness but understanding. As winter melted into spring, Elowen and Chris's relationship tentatively resumed. They navigated the awkwardness, with Jamie keeping distance but sending occasional apologetic texts. Chris proved his worth, attending pride events with Elowen, educating himself on LGBT history. I love you for who you are, he said during a walk in Prospect Park. Elowen, exploring her bisexuality, found peace in the fluidity. But drama loomed. At a family reunion Chris invited her to in Ohio, old tensions resurfaced. Willow Creek hadn't changed much. The same diners, the same stares. Chris's parents welcomed Elowen warmly, unaware of the history. But Jamie, there with her new girlfriend, pulled Elowen aside. I need to tell you something, she whispered urgently. It turned out Jamie had discovered old letters from high school. Ones Elowen had written to a crush, which Jamie had stolen and mocked. I kept them as some twisted trophy, Jamie confessed, handing over a faded envelope. Burn them, keep them, whatever. But I'm done hiding. Elowen stared at the letters, symbols of her vulnerability. The act felt like a betrayal anew but also a surrender. That night, back at the hotel, Elowen confronted Chris. Did you know about this? He shook his head, horrified. No, but I'll support whatever you decide. The reunion dinner became a powder keg. When Jamie's girlfriend mentioned their relationship casually, Chris's conservative uncle exploded in disapproval, echoing the prejudices Elowen had fled. Jamie stood up, defending her truth and Elowen's. We've all made mistakes, she said firmly. But love is love. Elowen moved, joined in, sharing her story. The room fell silent. Then Chris's mom spoke. "We're family. We learned together." The trip strengthened Aloan and Chris's bond, but cracks appeared. Chris's job demanded long hours, and Aloan felt the pull of her independent life. Doubts crept in. Was this love, or a rebound from trauma? One evening after a fight over future plans, Chris wanting kids, Aloan unsure, she stormed out. Wandering Brooklyn streets, she reflected on her journey. From bullied teen to confident woman she'd grown. But did that include a life with Chris? The conflict peaked when Aloan discovered a text on Chris's phone from Jamie. "Be careful. She might not be over her past." It felt like a knife twist, reigniting paranoia. Confronting Chris in their now shared apartment, she accused him of collusion. "Are you two plotting behind my back?" Chris, exhausted from a late shift, snapped back. "I'm trying to bridge my family, Aloan. Not everything's a conspiracy." The argument escalated, words flying like daggers. "Maybe this was a mistake," Aloan yelled, grabbing her coat. She spent the night at Lena's, sobbing over wine. "He's good, but the history. It's too much." Lena advised space. "Figure out what you want, not what the past dictates." Days blurred into a tense standoff. Chris left voicemails, flowers at her office, but Aloan needed time. She threw herself into work, designing a campaign for an LGBT nonprofit, channeling her emotions into art. Memories flooded. High school isolation versus New York's acceptance. Was Chris part of her healing, or a reminder of pain? Meanwhile, Jamie reached out via email, apologizing for the text. "I was worried for my brother, but that's no excuse. You've changed me, Aloan. Show me what strength looks like." The message softened Aloan, prompting a solo trip back to Willow Creek. Walking familiar streets, she visited her old high school, now remodeled but haunted. Standing by her locker, she whispered forgiveness, to Jamie, to herself. Upon returning, Aloan met Chris at their favorite park bench. "I love you," she said, tears flowing. "But the shadows are too dark." Chris nodded, heartbroken. "I understand. If it's not right, I won't force it." They parted amicably, promising friendship. The breakup hit hard. Aloan mourned the what-ifs, questioning her identity anew. Friends rallied, organizing game nights and brunches. One evening at a poetry reading in the village, she met Sarah, a writer with a warm laugh and shared passions. Their connection was easy, reminding Aloan of her roots in loving women. But Chris lingered in thoughts, a bittersweet chapter. Months later, fate intervened again. At a charity gala for LGBT youth, Aloan spotted Chris across the room, volunteering. Their eyes met, and he approached hesitantly. "You look great," he said. Conversation flowed, revealing growth. Chris had started therapy, advocating for inclusivity at work. "Losing you taught me a lot," he admitted. Aloan shared her dating life, the clarity it brought. "I'm bi, Chris. And proud." As the night ended, he asked for coffee, as friends. She agreed, sensing unfinished business. The rekindled friendship blossomed slowly. Coffee turned to lunches, then group outings with Jamie, who had become an ally, speaking at schools about bullying. One crisp fall day during a hike in the Catskills, Chris confessed, "I never stopped loving you." Aloan paused, the mountain air clearing her mind. "Me too," she replied. But caution prevailed. They dated deliberately, addressing past hurts. Jamie, now a confidant, mediated when needed. "You two are meant to surprise everyone," she joked at a family barbecue, where Aloan was welcomed fully. High drama struck when an old high school acquaintance leaked a story to a local Ohio paper. Former bully's brother dates victim, redemption or revenge? The article went viral, dredging up painful details. Reporters hounded Aloan at work, twisting her narrative. "Is this love real or payback?" one asked. Chris stood by her, issuing a joint statement. "Our story is about healing, not headlines." Jamie publicly apologized again, turning the tide. Support poured in from online communities, praising their resilience. The scandal bonded them, forcing deep conversations about trust and future. Through it all, Aloan's emotions deepened. Chris's unwavering support melted remaining barriers. On a starry night in Central Park, he proposed, not with a ring but a promise. Let's build a life where love wins. Aloan heartful said yes. The engagement shocked Willow Creek, but in New York it felt right. Jamie was maid of honor, her transformation complete. Wedding planning brought its own chaos. Venue debates, guest lists laced with old tensions. Chris's uncle declined, but his parents embraced the union. Aloan's folks evolved through years of reflection. Flew in, her mom tearing up over dress fittings. "I'm proud of you, sweetie," she said, hugging tight. Jamie helped with decorations, her girlfriend by her side, turning the event into a celebration of progress. But doubts crept in for Aloan. Late-night anxieties, was she settling? Or had love expanded her horizons? Therapy sessions helped, affirming her bisexuality as valid. A pre-wedding betrayal shook the foundation. Days before the ceremony, Aloan overheard Jamie on the phone. "Chris, are you sure? She's complicated." Storming in, Aloan demanded truth. Jamie confessed. "I love you both, but I worry about the baggage." Chris, arriving mid-confrontation, defended Aloan fiercely. "That's our baggage to carry together." The trio hashed it out, tears and truths flowing. Jamie admitted lingering guilt, projecting fears. "You've forgiven me more than I deserve," she said. Aloan, moved, pulled her into a hug. "We're family now." The incident strengthened their resolve, turning potential fracture into fortitude. The wedding day dawned bright in a Brooklyn botanical garden, petals fluttering like confetti. Aloan walked down the aisle in a simple gown, Chris beaming in his suit. Vows were heartfelt. "From enemy's shadows to lover's light, I choose you," Aloan said. Chris echoed. "Your strength inspires me daily." Guests, a mix of old and new worlds, applauded. Jamie's toast brought laughter and tears. To surprises that heal. The reception pulsed with music, dancing under string lights. Aloan and Chris swayed to their first dance, whispering dreams of travel, adoption, a home filled with love. Post-honeymoon, life settled into a rhythm. They bought a brownstone in Park Slope, blending careers with activism. Aloan designed pro-LGBT campaigns. Chris developed inclusive apps. Jamie visited often, her own life thriving. But life's drama didn't end. When Aloan faced a health scare, a benign lump requiring surgery, Chris was her rock, holding her through fears. "We're in this," he assured. Recovery brought introspection, reinforcing their bond's depth. Years passed, their story inspiring others. At a high school reunion in Willow Creek, Aloan and Chris returned as guests of honor. Jamie introduced them. Proof that love conquers. Aloan spoke to students about bullying's impact, her voice steady. "I was once broken here, but I rebuilt. You can too." Applause thundered, a far cry from her tormented youth. That night, driving home, Aloan reflected. From victim to victor, her journey was laced with unexpected turns. Parenthood arrived via adoption. A spirited girl named Riley, whose energy filled their home. Challenges arose. Balancing work, navigating biases, but love prevailed. Riley's first pride parade, perched on Chris's shoulders, waving a rainbow flag, symbolized their legacy. Jamie, now an aunt, spoiled her rotten. Yet, emotional undercurrents persisted. Aloan occasionally grappled with identity, confiding in support groups. "Loving a man doesn't erase my past," she'd say. Chris listened, growing alongside her. Their marriage wasn't perfect. Arguments over chores, differing views, but communication bridged gaps. A poignant moment came during a family vacation in the Rockies. Hiking a trail, Aloan paused at a vista. "Remember when I thought love was impossible?" Chris squeezed her hand. "And now?" She smiled. "It's everything." The view mirrored her life. Vast, beautiful, hard-earned. As Riley grew, so did their advocacy. They founded a nonprofit for bullied youth, channeling experiences into change. Jamie joined the board, her redemption arc complete. Media interviews highlighted their story. "From hate to heart," headlines read. Aloan's journal, once filled with pain, now chronicled joy. In quieter moments, Aloan pondered the human tapestry, the flaws, forgiveness, growth. Her relationship with Jamie evolved into genuine friendship, bonded by shared history. "You saved me from myself," Jamie said over coffee one day. Aloan laughed. "We saved each other." Chris, ever the steady force, marveled at their resilience. "You're my heroes," he teased. Tragedy struck when Chris's mom passed suddenly from illness. The family gathered in Ohio, grief raw. Aloan supported Chris through nights of sorrow, her empathy a balm. At the funeral, Jamie's eulogy touched on acceptance. Mom learned late, but she loved fiercely. Back home, the loss deepened their appreciation for life. "Let's make every day count," Chris said, pulling Aloan close. Riley's teenage years brought echoes of Aloan's past. When Riley confided crushes on girls, Aloan shared her story gently. "Be proud, kiddo. We've got your back." Chris nodded, attending PFLAG meetings. The cycle broke. No bullying for their child, only love. As decades unfolded, Aloan and Chris aged gracefully. Gray hairs, laugh lines, but passion endured. On their silver anniversary, they renewed vows in Central Park, surrounded by loved ones. Jamie, silver streak, toasted. "To the surprise that keeps giving." Riley, now a young adult, added, "You taught me love knows no bounds." The story's climax came in a quiet revelation. Aloan, writing her memoir, uncovered old wounds but also triumphs. Published to acclaim, From Shadows to Light inspired countless readers. Letters poured in. "Your journey gave me hope." Chris beamed with pride. "We did good." In the end, their tale was profoundly human, flawed, dramatic, emotional. Betrayal yielded to trust, conflict to connection. Aloan, once a bullied girl, became a beacon of resilience. Her love for Chris, unexpected yet true, proved identities evolve, hearts heal. Willow Creek faded into memory, replaced by a life rich in meaning. As sun set on their porch, Riley visiting with her partner, Aloan leaned into Chris. "Who'd have thought?" He kissed her forehead. "Everyone's surprised, but we're blessed." Their story, a testament to redemption, ended not in fairy tale perfection, but in authentic, hard-won happiness, a legacy of love's transformative power.